all agree you should sell your house and give the money to your sister's baby fund. She needs it more. That was my mom, at the head of the dinner table, with her wine glass raised, as if she'd just delivered a toast instead of a betrayal. My cousins clapped. My dad gave me that proud father nod, like finally, she'll be useful for something. My sister buried her face in her hands and whispered, "This means so much." I just blinked, then smiled, and slowly picked up my phone. I opened the message I'd been saving for this moment, a notification from the bank confirming that the deed transfer had gone through. And before anyone could stop me, I read it aloud. Property sale finalized. $894,000 wired to new trust account in the name of Indigo Ray Whitman. Protected. Irrevocable. Cannot be accessed without written permission from owner. Silence. No forks scraping plates. No fake sobs. No baby fund speeches. Just stillness, the kind that hits a room when a thunderstorm pulls up outside your door. My name is Indigo Ray Whitman. I'm 32. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Because I was raised by a family that taught me to serve, give, sacrifice, but never to expect anything back. Not love. Not loyalty. Not even presence. So, I played the good daughter until they asked for my home. And I realized, sometimes, the only way to teach people your worth is to show them the cost of underestimating you. What happens when the black sheep learns how to run the farm? That night was the beginning. And by morning, they'd wish they never opened their mouths. My sister stood up first, cheeks blotchy, voice cracking. "Wait, what do you mean you sold the house?" Her hands were shaking. My mother reached for her elbow like they were two actresses caught in the wrong scene. I sipped my wine. "The house you all assumed you could vote on like a family pizza order?" I tilted my head. "That house was mine. Paid in full. Remember when you laughed because I chose a 2-bedroom fixer in a bad zip code instead of going in on Ezra's condo?" "Yeah, that one." My father's face stiffened. He looked like a man who'd just remembered an overdue bill. "You're being ridiculous," he muttered. "This was about family." I laughed. "You mean your version of family, the one where I pay, smile, and stay quiet?" My cousin Amelia whispered, "You're making a scene." I set my glass down. "Let me make it bigger then." I reached for my purse, pulled out a folded envelope, and slid it across the table. My mom opened it. Her eyes moved. Stopped. Moved again. And then she went pale. Inside, a notarized agreement stating I had canceled my $60,000 contribution to the family investment fund, a pot I'd been pressured to join years ago. The one they all benefited from. The one I was guilted into for everyone's future. Guess whose future just got cut? "You can't do this," my dad said. "I just did," I replied. And then my phone buzzed. One message. 2:7. From Ezra. Amelia. My aunt. My uncle. Even grandma. All saying some version of, "What happened? Why are they freaking out?" Because word was already out. But they didn't know the half of it. Not yet. They say silence speaks louder than screams. But this silence? It sliced. Mom held the envelope like it might catch fire. "You're really cutting us off," she whispered as if wounded. "Let me rephrase that," I said calmly. "I'm choosing me for once." My sister, still wiping fake tears from earlier, lunged into performance mode. "But the baby fund? We already told everyone you were contributing. Ezra made a down payment based on your share." I leaned back. Then maybe Ezra should have used his promotion bonus instead of counting on my sacrifice. Her jaw tightened. Dad slammed his napkin down. "This is betrayal." "No," I said, slowly rising to my feet. "Betrayal is publicly humiliating your daughter and trying to guilt her into liquidating her life's work." I paused, scanning every single face. The same faces that had smiled while cheering on my financial execution. "You don't get to label me selfish just because I stopped bleeding for you." And then I walked out of the dining hall, past the valet, into the cool air where my real life waited. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I got in my car, turned on the engine, and watched my phone light up like fireworks. Missed calls, texts, voicemails. Suddenly, the woman who didn't belong at the table was the only one who could fix what they broke. But I didn't respond. Not even when my cousin sent a photo of Dad on the phone with the bank. Or when Mom called 3 times in a row. Because there was something they didn't know yet. Something buried in the paperwork. Quiet, but deadly. And they'd find it soon. In the form of a letter arriving first thing Monday morning. By Monday morning, the letter had reached them. I knew because the voicemail stopped. The first message of the day wasn't from Mom. It was from the bank. Hi, Miss Elwood. Just confirming you're listed as sole signatory and owner of the joint family holding account. As per your request, access for all secondary users has been revoked. I stared at my screen, calm as still water. The account. The one they'd built under my name during the years I worked 3 jobs to fix their credit while they partied and took loans in my name. They thought I'd never touch it. They were wrong. A year ago, I'd quietly consolidated the family trust into a single asset account to streamline taxes. No one noticed. I was the only name that remained. They never checked. They assumed I was the fool, the mule. They forgot I have an MBA. They forgot I was watching. I hadn't spent a cent until now. With one signature, I froze their cards, pulled out $82,000, paid off my own mortgage, donated the rest to a fund supporting single women entrepreneurs, under my daughter's name. Let them taste silence now. By mid-afternoon, a family group text revived from the dead. Mom, we need to talk. This is bigger than dinner. Dad, you're playing with fire. Sister, you ruined us. I didn't reply. But that night, as I watered my plants, a car slowed in front of my driveway. A figure stepped out. My sister. Puffy eyes. Hair in chaos. Clutching her phone like a lifeline. She walked to my door. Raised a trembling hand to knock. But paused. Inside, I dimmed the lights. Watched her through the window. Sometimes, silence is a mirror. And what you see isn't pretty. The next morning she came again. This time she knocked. Just let me explain, my sister whispered, her voice shaking through the door like a violin string on the verge of snapping. Mom didn't mean to humiliate you. Dad said you wouldn't care. We thought you were used to it by now. Used to it? Like a hand-me-down emotion. Like I was supposed to normalize being dismissed. I stayed quiet. Through the peephole, I saw her shoulders sink. She sat on my front steps. Then came the second surprise. My mother, in her robe, hair disheveled, marching up the path with a paper bag and a phone clutched like a weapon. You have no idea what you've done, she spat. Your father's accounts are frozen. The tax office is asking questions. Ezra can't book his honeymoon. And your uncle called me crying. She held out the paper bag. Take this. Let's talk like family. I opened it. It was a dusty photo album, torn at the edges. Pages curled. Childhood photos. Me in pigtails. Me at spelling bees, trophies in hand, no one cheering. Birthday cakes half lit. Graduation day. Just me and my shadow. Mom said softly, "You were never forgotten." I closed the album gently, then looked her dead in the eye. That's funny, because I was never remembered either. Before she could speak, I pointed to the sign on my door. No soliciting. No guilt trips. No manipulation. She read it, flinched, and turned. I didn't need to scream or slam. I just needed them to feel the weight of absence. And absence is loud. The silence didn't last long. By nightfall, my phone vibrated with a new number. It was Ezra, my golden brother. The one who once told me, "You're good at being invisible. Stay that way." Now his voice trembled. "I just need to know why you did it." I stared at the wall. My restaurant blueprint was still tacked up there, the same one they ignored, mocked, dismissed. "You mean, why I revoked your co-signing privileges?" I asked. "Why your luxury condo payment bounced?" He hesitated. "Just tell me what you want." I almost laughed. For years, what I wanted was a seat at their table. A sincere question. An ounce of belief. Now, I didn't want apologies. I wanted recalibration. Here's what I want, Ezra, I said slowly. I want a world where you earn what you post. Where mom's toasts aren't theft in disguise. Where dad doesn't cash in my name. And where you, my perfect brother, learn what it feels like to build something without expecting me to fund it. He went silent. And then, the sound of something breaking. Not in my house. In his image. In the illusion he'd wrapped himself in like a golden robe stitched with entitlement. That week, I got quiet, but not inactive. I pulled receipts, transferred my shares, closed every joint account, emailed my lawyer, the one they didn't know I'd retained for years. And then I did one last thing. I posted a single sentence. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes, it's a spreadsheet calculating your worth. The next morning, I woke up to a tag. @Mom of Winners had deactivated. And the restaurant I built? It had a waiting list 3 months long. 2 weeks later, the doorbell rang. Not a knock. A chime, soft, deliberate. I opened it. And there they stood. All of them. Dad with his pressed polo and nervous eyes. Mom in her pearls, hands gripping a Tupperware container like a peace offering. Ezra trailing behind, his jaw clenched, a man used to applause, now met with silence. No balloons. No "we're sorry" sign. Just them. And the stench of desperation. We've been talking, Dad said, voice brittle. We want to help with the restaurant now. Marketing, maybe signage. It's doing well, right? Mom added quickly. We thought we'd bring dinner. Your favorite. Lasagna, I said flatly. The one you used to make for Ezra's birthdays. She blinked. You remember that? I smiled, stepping aside but not inviting them in. Funny, I said. I remember everything. Ezra tried humor. Come on, Jules. Family squabbles, money stuff, it's messy. Let's just reset. Reset. Like I was a circuit breaker, they tripped too many times. I looked at them. 3 people who once called me a phase, a burden, a career girl with no direction. Now they were standing outside the very thing I built, hoping to tap into the electricity. I don't hate you, I said quietly. But I also don't owe you access to what you never believed in. Dad stepped forward, eyes glassy. We're not here for money. I met his gaze. I know. And then I gently closed the door. Behind it, I heard the container of lasagna drop. A small thud on the porch. A silence too full to be hunger. I turned around, exhaled, and walked back to the dining room. Table set for 1. Candle lit. And a note in my own handwriting that read, sometimes, family isn't who knocks. It's who never made you wait at the door. 2 weeks after I closed the door on them, I got a letter. Not a text. Not a call. A letter. Handwritten. Crooked ink. Torn edges. It was from Ezra. I underestimated you. We all did. That night at your restaurant, it was the first time I saw you. Not as the little sister, but as the storm we all pretended didn't exist. I'm sorry. If you ever need anything at all, I'll show up. I folded the letter and tucked it into the same drawer that held the napkin from my opening night, still stained with marinara and resolve. I didn't respond, because it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclamation. The week after that, a journalist featured my restaurant in a piece titled "The Hidden Gems of the City," woman-owned, soul-fueled. The article went viral. Reservations tripled. Locals wrote notes and left flowers. One woman whispered after her meal, "Thank you for making a place that feels like home for those who never had one." I smiled, because that was the point, wasn't it? To take every dinner I wasn't invited to and build my own table. My own rules. My own love. One night, as I locked up and stepped into the quiet street, the wind shifted. A soft breeze carried the faint scent of lemon zest, just like Mom's old kitchen. But this time, it didn't ache. It simply passed through me. I walked home alone. And for the first time, alone didn't feel like less. It felt like earned peace. Not revenge. Not a performance. Just peace. And when I reached my door, I looked up at the stars, smiled, and whispered, I was always enough.